Hey crew, I just thought I'd create a very different video than the ones I usually put up on YouTube. I had this kind of soul awakening a couple of days ago, and I was just thinking maybe it's time to share a bit more of my own personal journey with you. And I thought that the most interesting way in which I could do that was to introduce you to my tarot deck collection. This is mostly because this brings up a lot of nostalgic memories in my life, but it's also because you guys contributed to it, and I'm all about that equal give and take. So I just thought I'd take you with me on a very sweet and nostalgic journey. And yeah, I don't know, provide you with some special content. So I created here a very loving, safe, holding space. I feel this is also for me an exploration of my own journey so far, but also kind of like nourishing the inner child, because I do feel that tarot and oracle cards and reading and doing this very beautiful spiritual work, it is a form of divine play. So it is in a way us healing that wounded inner child that wants to just play and have fun and associate different symbols with meanings, with words, with thoughts, speeding up that connection between our left and our right brain and our heart. So yeah, I'm in an excellent, very chilled mood. I'm actually having a glass of red wine, and I just thought, you know what? I think it's time to do this. I think it's time to open up a bit more. It is an act of vulnerability on my part, so I do hope that you will be kind and in your comments. And if this video is not something that you want to watch, then please don't look at it, okay? Do something better with your time. But for those of you that are here, feel free to use this video as either something informative if you're interested in my personality and would like to know something more about myself, or maybe you're thinking about your own tarot deck collection and you want to see a second opinion. Or maybe you just want a soothing video to watch before you fall asleep. So that's why I brought here my my toys. I have here this fox and this tiger. To me, they were gifts and they represent something very sweet. They gravitated towards me at a very specific point in my life. Yeah, and I just thought I would share them with you. I have here affirmation candles. I don't know, I just wanted to create a very cozy, safe space for you guys as I introduce you each of my tarot deck and let you know the story behind it. Okay, so we're gonna take it slow and very sweetly, and I'm gonna go with the flow. As I said, if you're not happy with the rhythm of this video, please go and watch something else. But for those of you that are here, hello, I'm so happy to have you here. Let's go on this journey together. So I'm going to begin with potentially I hope I'm not gonna cry in this video, okay? But it's good that you don't see my face. You don't want to see a tear-soaked face recording something at midnight. But I want to introduce to you the deck that started it all. So this is the traditional, the classical Rider-Waite Tarot. God, I don't even know where to begin with this one. This was the one that actually got the most comments from you. You were asking the most questions about it because it has a very specific particularity. It's in German. So this is very, very important to my life path because, wow, oh my God, this is awesome. It's reacting. It's like, hello, include me in. Yes, we love you, baby. You're here. Okay, so I kind of developed this throughout the years because you're gonna find out very soon, but I traveled with my decks all over the world in order to find a home for them, but also it was part of my spiritual and my intellectual development. I was soul searching, I was soulmate searching, I was researching, doing all those activities. Until I finally found my center this year. So 2020 for me has been a deeply healing and very beautiful year. But I feel that I've developed a symbiotic relationship with my tarot decks. This video, by the way, I forgot to mention at the beginning, is only going to be focused on my tarot decks and not on my oracle decks. And I did notice that you guys feel more tempted to gift me oracle decks than tarot decks, which is an interesting thing in itself. But maybe we can work out why that might be. The tarot is actually a really interesting tool. It's not very easy. It's not easy to comprehend. It's not easy to master. If you come from a background that is highly intellectual, like I do, you would struggle at the beginning. You would struggle to get in touch with your intuition. God, it took me so long to accept my feelings, to learn how to follow my intuition. I was so scared. I lacked practice. Nobody in my family educated me towards that. On the contrary, they kind of stressed discipline and rigor and reason above everything else. So I had to train myself, but I had some really lovely companions along the way. And this is where this deck comes in. And I'm so happy that actually the Ace of Cups came up here. It's so beautiful. So this deck came to me. I was started on this journey almost without my consent or will. It just happened. It floated to me. It was a gift. This is why it's in German, because it was given to me by one of my German friends called Leo. A person whose value and beauty I only acknowledged in my life after he moved on to other things. So after we parted ways, he is a very lovely person. He is one of my ex-husband's best friends, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what he saw in me. I am forever grateful to his beautiful soul, but he is the kind of guy that had these very beautiful conversations with me about art, about dreams, about he always liked to pick my brain. And I remember we went once and we visited a Georgia O'Keeffe exhibition in Munich, and I really liked it and he didn't. And he sat with me afterwards and he's like, I want to know why you liked it. Tell me, I want to see it from your perspective. Looking back on it, I would not be going too far to say that potentially he was in love with me, but being incredibly loyal as I am, I only had eyes for my husband, my ex-husband, and unfortunately that relationship didn't work out. But I was so lucky to have Leo in my life because he started me on the spiritual journey that helped me heal from my marriage. So I was married for 6 years. I was together in a relationship and married most of that time with the guy who stole my heart, gave me my first kiss and my first everything. It was gorgeous until it wasn't. And then in the wake of that divorce, I started exploring the tarot deck that Leo had given me. This tarot deck was not utilized for 1 year, so he gave it to me through my ex-husband in Hamburg. I received it in a box that had a maze around it. So it came without any indications. It was a deck in German and it came without any indications. And maybe you guys know, but I'm not German. I'm Romanian. English is my second language because I've been speaking it since I was 5 years old. But German is my third language, or actually more likely it is my fifth language because French and Spanish come in between those times. But I did interact with people in Germany. I lived there. I learned the language there. So for me, German feels more urgent, more intimate than French or Spanish in some way. I don't know why, even though I love all of these languages. So I don't prioritize between languages. I think that they're gorgeous. So I was very lucky to receive this deck in Hamburg, a space that will forever be meaningful to me because of that. Hamburg is actually a city that has, I'm getting the German word Hafen. It's a port, so it's actually filled with water, and I'm already so drawn to the fact that the Ace of Cups came here. And I do think that receiving this tarot deck was a divine intervention, as you can see the hand here. I do think that Leo genuinely had beautiful feelings for me, beautiful love, which doesn't have to be sexual, guys. So this is what I want you to take from this. People can love you more than the people you're having sex with, and they can help you in completely unexpected and beautiful ways, okay? So he gave me this deck. I thought it was very sweet. I didn't put too much thought into it. I put it to the side. I continued to focus on my relationship with my husband. I went to Edinburgh with him. I continued my studies there. 2 years passed. Leo and his friends came to visit me in Edinburgh in 2012 when the Mayans predicted the end of the world. And what happened to me was not that the end of the world happened, literally, but it was the end of my relationship with my husband in 2012. So it was really interesting that Leo's visit to see me in Edinburgh in the beautiful Scottish landscape together with a couple of friends actually marked, to some extent, the realization of my awareness that something ominous is coming over me. And that was the end of my relationship with my ex-husband. And it happened. 2013 was the year that I spent most of the time crying and looking at this deck, playing with it, holding it. Starting to read into it. I remember I also signed up for an art course class with Penn State University that blew me away. So I was starting to get into my emotions, get into my intuition, and it happened through the realm of art. It happened through me crying a lot and releasing illusions, releasing old beliefs, releasing patterns, releasing the idea of what my relationship with my ex-husband was, not the reality of what it was. And I released a lot and I started divinating. So this is why this deck is in German. It's not because I chose it. This was the first deck that arrived to me. It was divine intervention, and I was set on this path, and it was the beginning of my lightworker journey. My divorce was the beginning of me accepting my emotions, accepting my mistakes, accepting my failures, and beginning to love myself like I've never done before in my life. So this was the Rider-Waite Tarot. For me, it is still the deck I come to. It is frayed and old and worn out, but I love it so much. You can see, guys, that it has these kind of like stuff that it accumulates on the side. It has some coffee stains, but whenever I need a quick indication, whenever I need a quick response, I turn towards it and it never fails me. Okay, guys? So that was my first tarot deck. So I received this. And as I said, I think it was about 2010, and then in 2013 I started divinating. Wow, so 3 years passed. My goodness, wow. Okay, so let me tell you the story of the second deck I got. This was the one I got for myself. And this came later on in my journey. So I'm here to let you know that the spiritual path takes a while, guys. Just as your twin flame relationship might take a while, but it's so beautiful. I cannot put into words the healing, the honey, the spiritual insights, the synchronicities, and the magnificent feeling of being carried by spirit that you get along the way. So I divorced. I finished my studies. I got my PhD in Edinburgh. And after I got my PhD in Edinburgh, I didn't want to leave because Edinburgh to me was this magical, mystical space. But it was also very cold, and most of my friends were leaving to greener pastures in their own countries. I had a group of very lovely international friends, but they moved back home. So I was left alone. And completing my PhD meant that I had to figure out what to do next. I was on my own. I had just come out of another long-term relationship. I was for 1.5 years with another man. I tried again at love and failed again. And this pushed me even further on the spiritual journey. So I came back to myself as I was learning to do so. And I decided, okay, let's apply for a job someplace else. And as I was applying for jobs, teaching jobs primarily, in other places. And as I was making this bold step to disconnect emotionally from this magical space that Edinburgh provided for me, I don't even know how to explain it, guys, but it's like you feel feminine spirits, you feel these really mystical, spiritual, strong feminine presences in Scotland. There were a lot of witch trials, and a lot of women were drowned or burned or, persecuted for their beliefs in Scotland. And I feel that their spirits still reside in that area. And I was living in Edinburgh, which is one of the most beautiful cities in Scotland. I know people from Glasgow are going to disagree with me on that, but I put Edinburgh first. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry, Glaswegians. Let's not get into that here, okay? But there is this energy that I felt like, I don't know, there was this ancestral knowledge pumping in my dreams. I felt empowered, I felt held, I felt protected. I started working on my body, I started exercising physically every day. I started feeling the rhythm of nature. There was so much wind. It felt very witchy. There was so much fog as well. And lo and behold, as I was waiting for the results of my applications for other jobs in various places in the UK, I got tempted one night and I ordered the Marielle Tarot. I don't know why, but there's always been this thing with me, potentially because I'm a Libra ascendant, but I always love to balance out extremes. So I felt like I needed a dark tarot deck to compensate for this received, gifted initial deck, right? So I felt like I needed to take somehow matters into my own hands, which was the next step in my spiritual journey. The gifted deck that started me on the journey came from my friend, which, by the way, he is a Gemini sun, and I have Gemini in my 8th house. So wow, guys, look at your 8th house for really interesting magical developments in your life, okay? Just that note aside, I felt like I needed a dark tarot, and I'm not exactly sure how the Marielle Tarot arrived in my life, but wow, it's one of the best purchases I ever made. Guys, this deck is so powerful. Not only is it powerful in its imagery, but it just holds this magnificence. It is actually one of the biggest decks, the heaviest and the biggest decks I own. I cannot shuffle it in all the specific ways I can shuffle tarot decks. I can only do it in 2 ways. And it is, the imagery on it, each card is a painting, and I think Mary White was the one who created it, and I will be forever grateful for her beautiful inner work, because the thing is, I was drawn to it because I was still thinking from my training. So I'm a social psychologist by training, and I was looking for a tarot deck that kind of fitted within my still very rational beliefs in science and psychology, and approaching intuition only through the safe prism of academic research, right? So I was looking for a deck that had some sort of psychological symbolism, and I stumbled upon this online. I ordered it from Amazon, and when it arrived, I was completely blown away by its energy. But back in those days, I wasn't really following energy. I was more like, oh, this is weird. Okay. So even though the imagery was gorgeous, and Mary White actually spent 20 years of her life doing counseling or therapy work, and she painted these images as they arrived from the realm of her subconscious, right? Guys, look at this. It's scary but beautiful at the same time, right? So she was doing this gorgeous work, and I highly recommend you purchasing this deck because the booklet in itself is transformative. It teaches you so much about esoteric occult knowledge, the Kabbalah, the Sephirot, the Tree of Life, Egyptian lore, angels and angelarium, how to work with archangels. The meanings behind all of these cards are so well researched, and the cards themselves are beautifully painted. So highly recommend this deck, guys. But you do need to be mindful of the energy you're bringing in because it is powerful, okay? So the thing is, what happened is that I got this deck. I got the confirmation that I got a job. I moved all of my stuff from Edinburgh to Oxford. And I was teaching in Oxford for a year, and this deck got put to the side. It got put on one of my shelves. It was just exhibited there, lying there. Nothing much happened to it. So I had two amazing decks that I wasn't using. I was just using the Rider-Waite from time to time when I had some difficult days. But then something happened in my life. I started having issues with my boss. My boss started challenging me very, very strongly. And I didn't understand why this was happening. Well, it was happening because I was really unhappy with my life. I was really unhappy because I was very much in my South Node. My South Node is in Libra. Reason, rationality, peacefulness, compliance with other people's consent. And remarkably, my boss was actually a Sun in Aries. So she was bang on conjunct my North Node. Her aggressiveness towards me, her criticism of me, pushed me to turn to the tarot. And that's what I did, guys. Because I was having these really quarrelsome situations with her at work, this conflict that she was bringing into my life pushed me into reading tarot again. So I took it off the shelf and I started divinating, and I started getting serious about divinating. And this actually happened during Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, which happened, I think, in either 2017 or 2018. So imagine, I purchased this deck somewhere around 2015 or 16, I think. This deck arrived to me in 2010, and only in 2018-19 did I actually start paying attention to them and start divinating and using my intuition to work with the energy of these beautiful decks. And look at this, the Tower and the Ace of Pentacles, how fitting. So it's a journey, guys. It's a journey. Take your time and follow the intuition. See the wisdom, see the lesson in every experience. Looking back, when I was immersed in this conflict with my boss, I was constantly thinking, oh God, she's such a bitch. Why is she on my case all the time? But now, looking at the situation, just like it happened with my ex-husband and with Leo bringing that deck into my life, my God, fated moments. All of these things had to happen. All of the pieces had to fall into place so that I would start doing this work for you guys. And I'd be forever grateful for that. Okay, so I started divinating with those two decks. Those are my foundational decks. But then something really beautiful happened. And that was that I came to Romania. And in Romania, I quit my job because I was unhappy with my job. And I came to Romania. I came to my home country for a while. I also felt that coming to my home country was somehow significant. I felt like I had to be here. So in December 2018, I took a bold leap forward and I relocated. I quit my job in Oxford. It was a highly prestigious job, but I decided, you know what? I don't need this anymore. So I came to Armenia, started living on my own, decided to challenge myself to literally be in my own culture. But to be honest, guys, I really love this place. I know a lot of people have issues with Bucharest and my country, but that's their own issue, you know? A place is a reflection of our own inner love and our own inner connection to ourselves. And I've always felt very good here. It's just that some very complicated family dynamics make me feel like I don't belong here. But I do. This is my center, this is my place, and I love being here. So I arrived in Romania and I started really playing with my cards to such an extent that I started using them almost every day. I started doing yoga. I actually got into this mindset of sharing myself on YouTube. So that's when my channel started. It was the new moon in Leo, I think, or the full moon in Leo in January 2019 that I decided to share myself with the world, which was a very bold act because I was still recovering from the fact that I decided to leave a highly prestigious, well-paid job in Oxford just to do videos on YouTube that would do tarot. So you can imagine, nobody in my family was happy about that, but I followed my heart. North Node in Aries, right guys? Know your North Node placement because that's an indication of what you need to do in this life. So my path, I knew it clearly astrologically, was creative independence, was just to love something and just do it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Don't super intellectualize it. Just do whatever you want and enjoy it. Enjoy life. Enjoy living in the present moment. So that's what I did. And when I arrived in Romania, I walked down to one of my favorite bookstores. It's called Cărturești. It's actually a chain of really interesting, fun music, video, book, tea store. It has everything basically. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's been growing so much throughout the years. I was surprised to see there were 3 shops when I came back to Romania rather than just one as I knew it in the past. So I walked into the store and I asked the person there, "Do you have any tarot decks?" And the person looked a bit strange at me, and they just pointed towards the direction of a group of like some things that were placed in a corner next to the self-development section. And when I walked there, I was looking around what decks there are. And the funny thing is that there were 3 decks. I think it was the Klimt Tarot, the Rider-Waite, a Gilded Tarot, and the Decameron Tarot. This was actually the first sexual deck that I purchased from that particular store that has a lot of emotional significance to me. And it was kind of a sign of my empowerment. I was back home in my country, I was feeling comfortable, and I had the feeling that I need to start working on Tantra. I need to integrate sexuality with spirituality and grow the fuck up. Stop seeing them as 2 separate things and grow up and accept both of them, accept both my sexual side and my spiritual side and my higher self and my lower needs and desires, if you want to call them like that. Basically, I was trying to integrate my crown chakra with my root chakra energy. And I purchased this supremely fun deck, which is a lot about sexual imagery, but it's a really interesting story because the Decameron is a book that dates from medieval times. It was written by a person called Boccaccio, and it is a lot about people giving in to the pleasures of life during a period in Europe when the plague was only spreading death everywhere. So this deck is fantastic because it shows people from all walks of life, bar owners, hotel owners, whatever you want to call it, village retreat owners, inn owners, priests, nuns, people that were supposed to be of the rich gentry, giving in to the pleasure of sex, because what fights the fear of death sometimes is extreme sensuality. And we see it right now, right, with the transit of Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn in Capricorn. There's so much fear, there's so many obstacles, so much heaviness, so much pessimism, such a disjuncture between the rich and the poor, so many heavy feelings and heavy burdens. But people find some sort of respite in physical carnal pleasure, and this is kind of the vibe with which this beautiful deck was created. And that's why I kind of love it, because it's all about life and expressing life in a period of in a very dark time in Europe, where people were just thankful for the fact that they were still alive and they could still move their bodies. So hey, why not use it to provide yourself with pleasure, right? So I got this Decameron deck from Bucharest, which was a fantastic step forward in my spiritual journey. So the first deck was in Hamburg, the second deck was in Edinburgh, and the third deck was in Bucharest. Okay, let me just move my legs now, guys, because they started to fall asleep a little bit. And if you're wondering, wow, you traveled a lot, Lexi, it's not that, guys. I'm not about that ego aspect. It's just that this is how my karma played out. I have a stellium in Sagittarius, and my karma plays out through higher education and through travel. So I'm only recently marrying my mind with my intuition and learning through yoga, especially how to bow the reason of my head to the wisdom of my heart, which I find absolutely gorgeous. As above, so below, right? So the next step in my development, I'm kind of looking at the decks that I have here, is that when I was in Bucharest, I was still caught up in this idea that I don't know if I can create life based only on doing what I completely love, which was creating tarot, being a creative person, painting, creating decks, doing readings for people, counseling, helping them with their issues. And I was thinking, I need to go back to academia. That was my safe haven. That was what I knew. That was my South Node in Libra. So I was thinking, oh God, I need to apply for another job. So what I did is I applied for jobs, and I got a new position in Sweden. And this position in Sweden was a really interesting job because I was doing a postdoc. A postdoctoral is basically a period of a limited time, about 1 or 2 years, where you are supposed to collect research. You're being sent from, you're either working with a university, or you are, so you're collecting data in that specific country based at that university, or you have to travel to another place to collect data, which basically means talking to people or giving them questionnaires that they can fill in, and then you take that mountain of information and you try to insert it into a computer, and the computer analyzes the data for you. Go figure, this is how people want to reach. Sometimes it seems to me like people go through this stoic amount of work to reach some things that already indigenous cultures and our ancestors got to know in a very intuitive sense. So I think, yeah, I'm not going to go into this at the moment, guys. Sorry. I had a bit of wine and I get quite, I open up many parentheses when I had something slightly to drink, and I also feel the need to travel. So that's what I get, and then I fall asleep. That's how tipsy Lexi is in these moments. But what I want to tell you with me getting this position and explaining to you what a postdoc is I'm in no way talking down to you guys. I just wanted to explain to you the circumstances of, my journey and how I was still struggling to accept my intuitive self, because I think this might resonate with some of you. I know a lot of you that are watching my channel are actually engaged in higher education, but you're dabbling in tarot on the side, so you might resonate with some of this. So I took this position for Uppsala University. I was working on a project with them. I was based in Sweden, in Stockholm, for a couple of months, and then I had to travel to America to be in a lot of courtrooms. And in these courtrooms, I had to collect data from a beautiful place in the American South called Nashville. But while I was in Sweden preparing for my trip to America, I have to say, guys, I was very anxious about my trip to America. It was the first time I was traveling so far away from home, and being on my own when there was an ocean between me and my beloved Europe was terrifying me. Also, I was terrified because of gun violence in America, and we all know what happened. I was also going to Trump's America, and let's not even get into that, guys. But I was terrified, okay? So in order to calm my fear, because I really wanted to do a good job and please my boss, which was a mistake to begin with. Never please your bosses, guys. Just do the work that makes you feel like you did a good job, okay? Because that was the reason why my desire to please was kind of used against me by the people I was working with at some point. But I'm not going to get into that too much. It was a wonderful opportunity and I'm super grateful for it. But when I was in Stockholm, to cut that long story short, when I was in Stockholm, there was one place in Stockholm, just one, in the center of Stockholm, on one of their main streets, that was providing esoteric gels and essential oils and stones and tarot decks. So I walk into that store and I spend, I'm not kidding, guys. I went there on a Saturday. I had nothing to do that Saturday. I had no friends. I knew nobody in Stockholm except my boss and just the person that a friend from Bucharest got me in touch with, but he was busy traveling to America as well. So I walk into that only store in Stockholm, and under the guise of a very carefully manicured, very prim and proper woman who's staring at me through her glasses, I spent about 2 hours looking carefully at all of the tarot decks they had on display, and I ended up choosing this one. This is The Good Tarot by Colette Baron-Reid. And I don't know why, guys, I just felt so pulled towards it. It's emerald green cover was just like heart chakra awakening for me. And it's a gorgeous deck, as you can see here as well. It kind of transported me into a fairy tale world of escapism during a period of time when I was living in an Airbnb with a Swedish family that had 3 children that were crying every night. I was worried and anxious about my imminent departure to America and the whole administrative issues of getting a visa to work in America as a Romanian citizen, but based as part of a Swedish institution. It was insane. But everything went well. And part of the reason why I enjoyed this deck is that it calmed my mind. Every night I would come home to my little room and I would open this deck, finish my work for the day, and play with this deck, see what advice it had for me. And it's so calming and it's so gorgeous, and it just made me feel blissful. I have to say that that woman that was a little bit stern yet very watchful, that looked at me in the store, when I came up to her and I gave her the deck, I talked to her in English, of course, because I couldn't learn Swedish in 2 months, guys. I managed to learn German in a year and a half fluently, but mastering Swedish in just 2 months is just too much for me. But I talked to her in English and she asked me where I'm from. I said Romania, and then she replied by saying interesting country, which was interesting in itself as a comment. But then when she looked at the deck, she said, very good choice. So I was like, okay, we're starting off well. Basically, everything that had to do with tarot in this journey, and this is the point I'm trying to make so far, guys, everything that had to do with tarot was a doorway to my heart. It was attracting good compliments, good comments, good energy. It was calming me. It was making me feel good. Everything that had to do with academia and research and what I was pushing towards was bringing me a lot of pain and a lot of sadness and a lot of feelings of, am I worthy? Why am I exposing myself to such risks? So again, it was a lesson in deepening my intuition, but it was hard. It was hard for me to accept this, okay, guys? Because I was still in this mindset of, no, this is what I have to do. So I bit the bullet and I arrived in America. I started doing my research, and actually things started going really well. People were much nicer and friendlier than I expected them to be. There were not as many gun violence episodes as I thought they would be, but obviously going to court every day meant that I would see the less savory side of society and all the injustices that happened. So again, it kind of brought me down. And what I did is I took a trip. Again, in the weekends, I love to explore the places I used to live in. That was one of my, the most treasured thing, and the thing that I miss so much about the current epidemic is the freedom of just being in a place and just deciding, okay, I'm gonna grab a cup of coffee, and this weekend I'm just gonna explore. I'm gonna go to this restaurant, I'm gonna go to this museum, I'm gonna go to this crystal shop, I'm gonna talk to people, I'm gonna share myself, and I will figure things out as I go along. So the thing is, I went to this one store I identified on the map, the one store, the only store in Nashville that would sell crystals, tarot, and esoteric spiritual things. And oh my God, is it wonderful? It's a really beautiful place. I forgot the name of it right now. I think it's the Psychic place or the Psychic Tarot place. Feel free to Google it, guys. I might actually put the links down below to the places where I bought my decks. But as I said, during the week I was listening to all of the difficulties, people being convicted for murder, for rape, for trespassing over their neighbor's lawn, as it happened in one case. But I would also see cases regarding, you were late paying a parking ticket, things like that, or people getting order of restriction against each other, So it was not that extreme. I wasn't seeing only the extreme cases, but it still kind of brought me down. So at weekends, I would go to the store. And I have to say, I had to restrain myself because it was such a beautiful store. And the lady that owns it, I think she has a family business. And the store looked like it was at the bottom of her house, so at the first floor of her house. The lady that lived there, whenever I would walk in, she would say, hey, how was your day? And you'd say, fine. And you would ask her, how was your day? And she would say, very good. I'm really grateful to be here. So she really loves the place, you know, and the energy of the place was beautiful because it was packed with crystals, guys, and tarot decks and angel imagery and wind chimes. It was so wonderful. And I love spending time in that place. And inevitably, I started buying decks. So because I was faced with the imminent idea that I would spend Christmas by myself in Nashville, I actually started buying decks to see me through that difficult period. I do have to say that I was invited by some coworkers to go and have Christmas with them, but it was my choice to just be by myself, to recuperate from everything that had happened to me so far in that year. I had to change my places of living 3 times because I was feeling unsafe in certain accommodations in Nashville. So it was, for me, finding a place, a roommate that I loved. She had 2 cats. It was a safe neighborhood. And I had wrapped up most of the research that I had to do in courts, and Christmas was looming, so I treated myself to a lot of decks, and these are the decks. So I purchased the Chinese Tarot. This is very special because I was never into Chinese astrology, but my sister is, and my sister was a person that was always very dear to my heart. And I don't know, just looking at this, stumbling upon the Chinese Tarot made me think of her, and to be honest, I actually purchased it to give it to her. So I had it with me and I didn't open it up because I wanted to give it to her, but well, a pretty tough conversation happened between the 2 of us where a lot of harsh words were exchanged, and I figured, well, I didn't figure out, but it came to light that she basically doesn't have a very good opinion of me. She doesn't really think and feel the same way that I feel about her, and it caused a rift between us. So to heal from that very difficult situation, I started divinating with this deck. So it was meant to be a gift, but again, circumstances kind of pushed me into using this deck to heal again. So yeah, I'm really thrilled to find out more about Chinese symbols, about Chinese stories. Each of these cards has some sort of symbolism. Peacocks represent something completely different. Peaches represent something different in the Chinese culture than they do in the Western culture. So cultures, I should say, actually. And it's beautiful to actually read and learn about all of these different symbols. But yeah, it still kind of reminds me of my sister and that gift that, you know, should have been hers, but unfortunately I used it for my own healing. So yeah, guys, the tarot, it's a lifesaver, it's a healer. Another deck that I bought and I was completely mesmerized by was this one, the Dreaming-Waite Tarot. I was just so enamored by the card that actually was depicted on the deck, and I think that was the High Priestess. I don't know if I can find it for you guys right now, but again, this deck was purchased from that store in Nashville, and I just wanted a deck that was beautiful. I was just eye candy had to do it for me during that period, you know. It was just too much. Everything was just too much. As I said, I was alone for Christmas, away from my parents, struggling with them because I had arguments with them, and tarot was just healing me at that point. And when I saw, I'm not sure if she's here, but when I saw the image of the High Priestess, there she is. When I saw the image of the High Priestess on the Dreaming-Waite Tarot, I was like, this is what I want to be. I want to be the girl on the moon, dressed in black and white, reading her books, not being part of society anymore. And it's interesting because 2 is actually the number of union. So in a way, by isolating myself, I was bringing myself closer to my spiritual truth and to my intuition. So I took the time to heal, I took the time to reflect, and I took the time to use these gorgeous tarot decks. And well, something magnificent happened. I started really tapping in. I really started tapping in. The pain, the tears, the feeling like I couldn't belong anywhere, like I couldn't settle, I couldn't find safety, was basically reflected in these gorgeous tarot decks. So this is another tarot deck that I got, the Deviant Moon Tarot, also from that same store in Nashville. Nashville is also really interesting because, guys, I went to well, it was around the time of Halloween, right? It was so meant to be. And when I looked at, I don't know if you guys know about Astrocartography, but there is a tool on Astrodienst where you can input your birth date and you can find the places in the world that resonate with you most. Sorry about this. I think my camera wants to go to bed. So the places in the world that resonate with you most. And for me, Nashville, the place where I was sent by Uppsala University to do research there, is crossing over my North Node. So it was meant for me to go there. It was meant for me to acquire all these tarot decks. I never thought that a North Node in Aries in the 6th house would mean that I would divinate. I thought about the North Node in the 6th house and having Jupiter there as being a marker for astrologers. But I never thought it would bring me closer to tarot. But it was meant to be. So when I was actually working with Vanderbilt University, a really prestigious, very beautiful university there. And I was walking one day on campus around the time of Halloween, and I saw this poster, which was about a night of tarot. I remember that. So I went to this gorgeous presentation, and it was about tarot from the beginnings. How did it start from people creating playing cards during Arabian times to Italian merchants that started playing with the I think, how is it called? Oh, I have a lapsus right now. Basically those playing cards that came before the tarot. I forgot their names, but anyway, all the suits, so the wands, the cups, the swords, and the pentacles, all come from traditionally Arabian playing cards, which were then imported and changed by Italian aristocrats and merchants who started using them for their own divination purposes. So tarocchi, or the art of reading tarot, was created. And the Lenormand, that was the word I was the Lenormand was what emerged from the Arabian playing cards, and then from the Lenormand emerged the tarot, or at least this is what I learned during that really beautiful presentation on that very fateful night around the time of Halloween in Nashville. Another thing that I actually found out in Vanderbilt is that it actually holds one of the oldest tarot manuscripts in, I'm not sure if the world or America, at least in America. I don't want to misinform you guys, but it is there. It is in the Nashville Library. I saw it. It's absolutely amazing. It's in their special collections in the Vanderbilt Special Collections Library. If you're in town there, please go and visit it. It's, as I said, I thought I went to Nashville for academic research, and boom, tarot decks gravitated towards me. Tarot presentations gravitated towards me. I had tarot on my mind 24/7. So I started divinating. I started doing the short and sweet tarot series. I started putting out more videos. I started preparing for 2020. Little did I know what 2020 would bring. But I did feel it in my heart that in order for me to continue divinating and to divinate at my highest capacity, I had to come back to my roots. I had to come back to the place where my heart belongs, which is Bucharest. So these were my 3 tarot decks that I purchased from Nashville. And now I'm going to move on to the other side of the story, which was really, really interesting, because this is all about my journey here. And this is where you guys come into place. So at the beginning of 2020, I decided to quit my job and come back to Romania. I thought I was insane for doing this, for quitting again, but I felt called to do this. So I came here in January. I found myself a safe space, and I found a space where I started creating all these beautiful readings for you guys. I just fell in love with it. It's like my quiet sanctuary, and I'm so grateful to have it here. And I just sat down, I pulled all of my decks together. I asked the people that I had in Sweden to send me the tarot decks that I had left in my office, and I regrouped all of them together. It was a moment of sheer delight and love for me. It was almost like a homecoming. I can't even explain to you guys. So I started doing a lot of inner work. I started reflecting back on all of my relationships, journaling, doing yoga every day, taking care of my diet, sleeping a lot. And in February, I started putting out pick a card readings for you guys, and those happen to be my most successful pick a card readings. And it's interesting because the next decks that I'm going to show to you were actually pulled in my sphere because of you. Oh, I forgot to mention as well, I also purchased the Sun and Moon Tarot from that beautiful esoteric spiritual space in Nashville. It's a great travel companion because it's tiny, it's in a tin box. You can get it in various kind of editions, but I love this tiny one, okay? Look at this beautiful card. I thought it would help me manifest love. And in a way it did. It helped me manifest inner love, inner peace, and inner love. Okay, so here's where you guys come in, because I came to Romania, I started putting out this pick a card readings. You guys loved my channel. I got subscribers overnight like crazy. I don't know what happened, but it could have been all of that configuration of beautiful planets in Pisces that kind of made me incredibly attractive or alluring. I don't know. I guess it was that, but I also guess it was me following my calling and trying to move my camera right now because I accidentally slapped it. It's almost like Spirit is saying, hey, don't put yourself down, okay? So yeah, something magical happened. And then the world went into lockdown and it just exploded, right? So that feeling of safety, magic kind of went even, it was amped up because people were turning to tarot all of a sudden. And I started actually I started offering personal readings, and I started adding a tarot wish list, tarot and oracle wish list to my channel. And I want to show you guys the decks that you guys donated to me. So I did say at the beginning that you donated more oracle decks to this channel than tarot decks, but I managed with the help of your donations, because as you know, every donation that you give to the Spiritual Social is used to purchase candles, incense, figurines, crystals, and tarot decks. So these are the decks that I first purchased here before we went into lockdown. It was the Illuminated Tarot. Again, I purchased this deck from my favorite bookstore here in Bucharest, which is Cărturești. When I went back into that dark corner from where I bought the Decameron 1 year ago, I found so many more decks. It's almost like the zeitgeist, was saying, okay, it's time to divinate. It's time to get serious about spirituality and the use of the tarot. So I purchased the Decameron Tarot, guys, from your donations, and I am incredibly thrilled because this fantastic imagery helped me create that beautiful Your Future Love Story video. I can link it down below if you want to have a refresher, or if you are new to my channel and you would like to listen to it. It was this deck and Björk's song All Is Full of Love that inspired me to create a cyber futuristic romance love story for you guys with 6 different options, okay? So it was the Illuminated Tarot that I purchased with money from your donations. Then I went a bit crazy and I actually ordered 3 tarot decks. And also because you were so generous, so thank you so much, guys. I completely appreciate it and I love you so, so much. So what I got is the Nicoleta Ceccoli Tarot, which I saw in another pick a card reader's readings, and I thought, oh my god, this is gorgeous. Oh wow, look at this powder perfect beautiful paintings. They are so ethereal, they are so out of this world, and they are so loopsy daisy and sweet. I mean, look, she's having a bubble bath with a gingerbread man, right? What the, it's gorgeous. Here she is, oh my god, look at this, chomping a carrot that's crying. Like, it's so sweet, right, guys? So Nicoleta Ceccoli's imagination really drew me in, and I purchased this gorgeous deck, and you still, up to this day, ask me in your comments who created that deck because you love it so much. So thank you. I purchased it with money from your donations. And together with the Ceccoli Tarot, I also ordered the Santa Muerte Tarot. You can hear the dog barking outside. Sorry about that, guy. But Fabio Listrani's deck is amazing. I don't have words to describe it. I have a very strong Pluto in the first house in Scorpio, and as you guys know, if you're Scorpio as yourself or you have Scorpio influences, oh mama, is imagery regarding skeletons the most amazing things ever, right? Sorry, I'm kind of letting the 15-year-old teenager come out of me. But look at these cards. They are so life-affirming. In spite of the fact that they show skeletons and they're very focused on advice from the dead, they are themed around this, the Day of the Dead, the celebration, the Mexican celebration that takes place in November each year, which is kind of like the Mexican equivalent to the Christian All Saints Day, if you guys celebrate that in your culture. It's an absolutely fantastic deck, and I mean, it was like Christmas all over. When these two decks arrived, I was like, I'm in heaven. Honestly, they are just so gorgeous. Look at this. Wow. It's just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing artistry and quality. The cards are so beautiful and they're so easy to shuffle. I just love them. So, another deck that I purchased around about the same time was my second sexual tarot. So I just ordered these online with the donations that you guys offered to the channel. And this is the Dark Tarot, the Royo Dark Tarot, okay? I think it's created by the same company that created the Ceccoli Tarot and the Santa Muerte, if I'm not mistaken. And they are just, oh my god, they just create the most amazing decks. I think it's a company based in Italy that creates these gorgeous decks. I'm always thrilled to purchase something from them. But this is not about the purchase, right? This is about, sorry guys, this is about the energy. This is about holding something so beautiful, but at the same time kind of like, wow, dark and dangerous and mysterious. It was just completing and kind of rounding up my personal awakening, my spiritual journey, because there was this dialogue that was established between you wanting me to put out more pick-a card readings that were interesting. I was knee-deep in your love story series at that time, and I just thought, okay, let's do this. Let's take your energy and create something beautiful with it. So this is why I'm so grateful that these decks arrived in my life. And then another deck that I purchased with money from your donations, more recent purchase, this happened in June, I think, this year, is the Dreaming-Waite Tarot. The Mystical Dream Tarot. I always confuse the Dreaming-Waite Tarot with the Mystical Dreams, but just for your information, guys, this is the Dreaming-Waite Tarot and this is the Mystical Dream Tarot, okay? So they are quite different in what they depict. These are images from the subconscious, and these are just incredibly artisan crafted beautiful images. But this one, I don't know guys, it's created by Janet Piedilato, and I love the fact that she has whole videos introducing the deck at academic conferences as well. Whoop. It speaks again, see? So I resonated with this deck the moment I laid my hands on it. It's not that traditionally pretty, but the images speak volumes to me. Maybe because I'm a Pisces sun, and you know, I feel that this deck was created deeply in a Neptune haze, or by channeling Neptune influences. Janet herself spent a good amount of time channeling these images. They came to her in trances and dreams. She also put a lot of effort and work into this deck, much like Mary White put into her Marielle Tarot. So it's like, look at this. Look at this. How gorgeous is this? Dreamers in this deck represents pages and spirits represent the knights. I actually wrote some posts on my blog regarding the court cards if you guys want to go and have a look. Look, Spirit of Pentacles, this is the Knight of Pentacles. How amazing is this interpretation of the Knight of Pentacles? Talk about a rooted, grounded individual, right? Amazing. And ladies are the queens. I just love this deck, and it was again purchased with money from your donation, but this was a more recent purchase. And I think, oh no, I have one more. I have the Voyager Tarot. This is the last one that I actually got with money from your donation, guys. So the Voyager Tarot, again, is a deck that has some sort of academic undertones. I cannot remember right now the name of the person that created it because it's quite a new deck, so it took me a while to get accustomed to it. But he is an academic as well. He has a PhD. And I just really love the fact that it was a deck that you don't really see in other pick-a-card readings. not only that, but it has a really interesting interpretation. See, it gives like roles to all of the court cards. So the Man of Crystals, crystals represent swords in this deck, and the Man of Crystals is actually the Knight of Swords, right? Interesting, right? I just love the creativity of this deck. We have the Feeler, the Child of Cups. This is the Page of Cups. It's such a gorgeous deck. We have the Emperor here, do you see? So it's kind of based on collages. All the images look like collages, and I love doing collages as well. And the fact that it was created by an academic that dabbled in tarot as well really, really appealed to me because, you know, I found myself in it somehow. So this is the other interesting kind of eerie tarot deck that I love to use, and it was purchased with money from your donations. And finally, to wrap up this video, oh my god, we are at 1 hour. I can't believe it. And this was actually less emotional than I envisaged, but it is. If you don't get to see me, guys, but I have this gorgeous smile on my face right now. I'm smiling like an idiot because not only do I love what I do, and not only is this video kind of celebrating my path so far on this gorgeous journey, but I'm also touched by your generosity, your love, and your just commitment and your kind-heartedness to help grow and support this channel. While I took a bit of a break this summer because I was dealing with some parental issues, I was dealing with an upgrade, technological upgrades to improve the sound of these videos. So I had to buy some gadgets, I had to work on my teeth, and I had a lot of like negativity thrown my way from some people that purchased some of my readings, but also from some tarot readers out there. And I was kind of trying to figure out what is happening. Everything was going so smoothly and it was so beautifully like synchronized and things were making sense, but all of a sudden I think Saturn's return into Capricorn kind of brought a lot of blocks to my capacity to express myself and kind of my relationships to other people, which were based on communication, right? So communication all of a sudden froze, or it was deprived of pleasure, and it was a lot about criticism. So bearing this in mind, I'm very aware of this transit, and the more still I am, the more insights I get, and the more I take my time and the more I open up, the better things are. So this is why this video came here, and I want to show you the final decks. So we have here the Muse Tarot and the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, potentially two of the most gorgeous looking decks that I have. And these were donations, guys. These were things that you purchased from my tarot deck and oracle wish list, and you sent it to my tiny little space here in Bucharest. And I'm just like so grateful. I'm trying not to cry. Ooh, good that you don't see my face on camera. I'm so happy that I made this choice. This deck is just blowing me away because it has even a motto, to feel, to know, to grow, to learn. It's just like I wanted to adopt that as my motto in this divination practice because it's amazing. It is so rich in imagery. It has a booklet that is on the same par in terms of complexity and wisdom as the Mariel Tarot. So if you're looking for two tarot decks that are really going to give you a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge, please purchase the Dreams of Gaia or the Mariel Tarot. They are just foundational tarot decks. They might be a little bit complex. You do need to put in the work of actually reading through the booklets, and they're quite extensive. It's like reading a book. But oh my god, do they pay back in the rewards. When you use them, you just get this really beautiful vibration. The cards are very thin. They're very, I don't know, they feel so good when you touch them. It's kind of like holding something very silky in your hands. And not to mention, like, look at the energy of this card. My god, right? The King of Fire, the Leo. And also, it has some really interesting interpretations of the traditional major arcana. Look at this. Which card would you guess this is? I'll give you 3 seconds. So it's a major arcana number 15. Boom. The Devil. Would you ever imagine that the devil is represented by abundance? Doesn't this completely change your whole understanding of the law of prosperity and manifestation of abundance? I find this completely paradigm shifting. We have here the journey as well, which is the star. Beautiful, right? So the star as a journey. This is just mind-blowing. We have here as well the Six of Pentacles, and you see this person that acquires the fruits of their generosity and wisdom through their hard work. It's absolutely gorgeous. I'm not going to go too much into it. I'm not going to make this video longer than it already is. But here's the final deck that was donated to my channel, and I'm so excited about this one because this one is actually a deck that was premiered, I think, this year at the end of 2019. So it's hot off the press. And it has brought so much joy. I used it as well to create some pick-a-card readings, quick pick-a-card readings on my Instagram. So if you're not following me on Instagram, make sure to follow me, guys, because I've been really vocal about the pick-a-card readings, the connection to spirit, and the videos I've been filming there lately. I do share a lot more tarot things and a lot of astrological knowledge on my Instagram account, mostly because it's very quick, so I can give you quick videos, quick information to things that happen daily, and this is why I kind of love it. For those of you that don't have Instagram, that's okay, don't worry, you can still get access to these YouTube videos. I don't use memberships, I don't block people's access, you know, I don't use links to Patreon accounts or anything like that. If other readers want to do it, that's perfectly fine. I have nothing against that, but it's just not my thing. So we have here the Muse Tarot, and I want to leave you with this gorgeous deck, guys. This is the culmination of my journey so far. I don't know where it will take me. I don't know if I'll continue to do these tarot readings. I don't know if maybe my academic work is going to swoop in and court me back again. I love what I do from the bottom of my heart, and I'm incredibly grateful for this journey. I don't have words to put it. I don't have words to express it. I don't have the energy to put it into these words, or the words don't actually round up around the energy that I have or the passion that I have for this thing. God, that was too complicated. Oh God, sorry guys. I've been talking for 1 hour straight. This reminds me of my teaching days, but I just want to leave you with this. Your journey is very unique and personal. It will take you to places that you have no idea how you're going to handle, but you just need to trust and use your intuition. You might want to fall back on your mind, and that's okay to do so as well. But keep following your North Node, your North Star. It will never fail you, and circumstances are going to work out in a way in which you won't be able to miss out the things that are meant to be in your life. Okay guys, so thank you so much for listening. If you actually managed to make it until the end of this video, you are my favorite. You're amazing. If not, well, that's okay. I still love you guys, and I'm gonna say goodbye right now. I'm gonna go to bed very happy, very fulfilled. I feel like we celebrated together this whole tarot deck collection. I think I have about 16 tarot decks, if I'm not mistaken. You feel free to count them as well in this video if you're so inclined. And from both Foxy and Tiger, I'm wishing you a very, very lovely, enriching, fantastically manifesting, self-loving good night's rest. Bye guys.